No, we got the exam which is a 220-901 as CompTIA plus exam. I think revisions today will be for the BIOS and UEFI revision. So we've got the basic input and output system, which is called a RAM BIOS. I think we've done it yesterday. We've got now the BIOS configurations. Using the BIOS configuration is key during the startup. Configure and enable, disable components. May include built-in hardware, diagnostic. Always have a backup before making changes. The CMOS batteries, not needed for today flash-based storage. They maintain all the BIOS configurations, may only be used to maintain the date and time. The battery will require the BIOS configuration on every boot. Can reset the BIOS configurations by removing the battery and on all the system. I think we've done that. We've got also the BIOS password. You use a password needed to start the computer, supervisor password needed to make configuration changes. So the BIOS password, BIOS password is for is actually what is done. We have two. We've got use a password which is needed to start the computer, and we've got supervisor password needed to make configuration changes. Right, that is for the BIOS password. And there is another one which is well, it's not another one, but there is a as far as the laptop concerned, there is a low jack for laptop. It's built in the BIOS. It is actually in the BIOS. It is software installed in the operation system. Software installed in operation system. Reinstall itself if remove or a new storage drive installed. It has a feature as a phone home function, which is provide location information. We've got theft mode, remotely unlock the laptop or delete file and can force up a startup password. We got the last bit, which there is two actually. We got the upgrading. When you need to upgrade your BIOS firmware, we got identify the current firmware first, version. So you have to know what's the current firmware version. You read the upgrade documentations and have a reliable power source. So that's important for when you're upgrading your BIOS firmware. We got also this to secure the boot. When your operating system is booting, there is a feature which is there's a feature. Well, actually, we will start first with the UEFI BIOS. We got the legacy one, which is the original traditional BIOS. It's no driver for modern network, video and storage drive device. But we got also the new one, which is a UEFI BIOS, Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, based on Intel EFI. I think Extendable Firmware Interface. It's designed to replace the legacy BIOS. It boots from larger drive, 2.2 terabyte. It has got partition. Not the partition 2, which is we have it before. We've got GUI, which is GUID, partition table, GPT disk, GPT disk. And also there is another feature which is called a trusted platform module, which is TPM. It's actually add advanced cryptographic function used by full disk encryption software, may be separate model or integrated in the motherboard. So you have maybe integrated in the motherboard or separate chip on it. For the last bit for the BIOS, we got secure boots. We've got part of the UEFI specification. We've got digital sign sign a known good software. Software won't run without the proper signature. Support in many different operation system. I've got Windows 8. That's actually supported. This support the secure boot. There is is only from the Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows Server 2012, Win 2012 R2. Maybe revision 2. We've got Linux, Fedora, got OpenSUSE, Ubuntu built into the BIOS. So this is what they have, this secure boot. So what actually the secure boot does? It is part of the UEFI specification. It's digitally signed down good software. Software won't run without the proper signature. Support in many different operating systems. We said as a Windows 8, 8.1, Windows Server 2012 and 2020, 2000 R2, Linux, Fedora, OpenSUSE, Ubuntu built in the BIOS. They're all built in the BIOS. Okay.